What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremiah, and tonight I'm joined by two of my best friends in the world, Joel.
Hey!
And James.
What's up? This is Corporate James.
Corporate James. I know Corporate James's hair has a little more action going
Except
on.
You're always kind of Corporate James because you're still dressed like Corporate James, but you're not actually at work. You're at home, still as Corporate James.
No, I come home and change by taking off the tie.
We have the lamest alter egos. Corporate James, History Man for Dave.
Dude, have you heard that one yet, James? Oh my gosh.
No.
At work, I was curious about something. I was like, so Dave, like back in the day, what was it like? Or I just asked him some history question, and he like literally swivels in his chair and he goes, actually, then he just spouts information. And Jeremy's just like, history, Dave. And Dave just goes, history, man. And Jeremy's like, no, it's more like, history, man. Opens a book.
Yeah. And blow the dust off.
Put the pipes in.
Yeah. History, man.
You better shut that phone down.
Sorry.
All right. Tonight, we actually are hopefully going to have a really short podcast. We are all pretty zoned out this week. It's been a pretty busy week. That's not an excuse for not giving you guys a great show. We think we have some cool stuff to talk about. All right, Joel. That's lovely.
I'm just getting in the mood of Resident Evil.
Okay. Just public service announcement. We're not too far away from John Wick 2 coming out. Not at all related to the podcast. Just wanted to throw that out there. Very excited.
Did you see the Humble Bundle had a lot of John Wick, like
I didn't know there was a John Wick
stuff.
game.
No. It's DLC for Payday 2.
Oh, that's right. There was the John Wick thing. Yeah.
I heard there's a John Wick VR game coming out.
Yeah, and that's the top tier, the $25 to unlock. Kind of cool.
Ooh. Oh, James, I hadn't told you. Maybe this was better suited for the warm up, but we're in the show now. This is gaming related. Let's talk about it. So, I've been wanting to test VR on the Potato Masher because people keep asking about it, but I don't really want to buy an Oculus Rift or a Vive. But the other day, I just had a curiosity thought,
I'll stick two monitors around. Just walk around like this.
Out of curiosity, it didn't work.
So with YouTube, I get paid from my channel partner on about a 2-month delay, and that's the same for most YouTube partners. And so November was a really good month because the Potato Masher Pro video came out. So like that was my best month so far on YouTube. So I've got a larger than average YouTube paycheck coming, and I went on eBay and looked, and Vives in great shape with all their accessories are selling right at $550. Like on the nose. Wow. And I went and read a bunch of reviews, and the consensus is pretty clear that like if you're going to get one and money wasn't an object, the Vive technologically is absolutely the best, but $800 is normally what makes people go like, great, it's the best, but $800, So, and it's got the highest resolution screens, you need the best computer and yada, yada, yada. And you need a giant room if you want to use the room thing. So I get all the reasons why it may not be the best fit for everybody, but I was thinking I might buy a Vive and then keep it for like 2 or 3 months, sell it for probably close to what I paid for it. I can test it on the Potato Masher. We can play around with it. We can do the room stuff. I can use the cool motion controllers, do some stuff like that, then sell it. And then maybe like, I'll wait till the next generation and then decide, do I want a PSVR 2 or a Vive 2 or, Oculus Rift 2, whatever.
So, at the Best Buy, one of the Best Buys near me, they were doing Oculus demonstrations.
Oh, nice.
Those controllers are fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, they
cool.
they just make so much sense the way they're laid out, and they feel really comfortable, and they're pretty accurate.
I wish our area had demos of it. I would love to try it.
The Vive controllers look really, really weird, but from the reviews I read, once you start using them, they make total sense. But they look weird because they've got like these little sensor things. Instead of doing the colored lights like the PSVR does, so you can track that, they have all the little dimples are, I don't know if it's actually tracking the dimples or if they're shooting like IR beams out at the dimples. I'm not sure. But it's tracking like 27 points across the controllers and the headset.
Well, it's got to be a lot different than, obviously the PSVR with that camera.
Right, because it's not using the camera.
Screen, but these, you can add more. At least with the Oculus, you can add more sensors.
Right.
To read more.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Interesting.
it may be awesome. It may suck. I looked. There's a ton of games out for it. I hadn't really followed that. Most of them are games like most of the ones I've played over at Joel's, where it's like cool demos and things you want to try out. But I don't know how many of these are big, full, long games. From what I can see, there's at least like 10 or 15 that look like a meaty game that I would want to play. And
Just
then
so you know, Dirt Rally is VR right now on PC. You don't have your steering wheel anymore, do you?
I don't. I think I could still enjoy that with a controller. I'm pretty sure I could.
So I let my daughter try VR the first time the other day, and I thought she was gonna like crap her pants. She was so excited.
She might be too
by
young to like have that. You think she's too young to like have her mind broken in that way?
Well, I mean, letting her play for like 5 minutes and then maybe never playing again for a year or so. But it was cool to see her. She was just like, wow.
So anyway, that's like a segue into our main topic this evening, which is Resident Evil 7 on PSVR. Because Resident Evil 7 has come out. The reviews say it is excellent, awesome Resident Evil game. I'm really looking forward to play it when I ever have the chance to play games again, hopefully sometime soon. But Joel has been playing it, and the game is not going to be out on PC VR for about a year because Sony paid for an exclusive for it, which is probably which is a pretty smart move, most likely. I mean, if the game had sucked, maybe
definitely.
if it wouldn't have been a smart move if the game had sucked, but I'm assuming they looked at the game and were like, we got to lock this down. And Joel has been playing PSVR, and from what he says and from a lot of the reviews say, it's really awesome. So Joel's recorded some. Yeah.
Before you talk about, I haven't played it yet, but looking at it, comparing it to the Resident Evils of the last, actually even 4. What excited me about Resident Evil was going into a room and feeling the need to explore and look around for stuff. And when I saw this, like, this legitimately looks like, to me, a return to form. And I guess we'll find out from Joel's thing.
All I have to pitch in on how fun Resident Evil is I've played the demo on PC, on PS4 a little bit in 2D, and then PSVR all the way through. So I've done all the way through in PSVR and on PC. And in VR, like, it's not even the same game. Like, it's stuff that I would breeze through, like, just with a normal controller. You really do want to spend a lot more time.
You play at Dave pace.
I mean, honestly, yeah. And it was really, really awesome because it actually is that interesting in VR. But anyway, let's watch these clips Joel's recorded for us.
What would Dave do in VR?
You know, it's funny. He's actually really excited to play this. I told him, I said, I'll let you borrow my PS4 Pro because it looks fantastic on there. You're welcome to play it. But only, Dave, if you play it, if you're going to like commit like a week and a half and just go for it and dive in and do it. Because I'm like, if you play it at complete Dave's pace, I won't get my PS4 back for like 6 months. But he's really excited because he played a ridiculous amount of hours on the VR when he came over to my house. He played through the whole demo. He spent an hour and 20 minutes in that demo, which I think Jeremiah took maybe 30 minutes or so.
Oh, I thought I was being slow.
No. I was going about, I was maybe like 45 minutes compared to you. But still, the fact that Dave was in something as scary as, or like is kind of intense and just kind of suspenseful, showed a lot that Dave was actually committed to like, this is really cool. I actually want to do this. So. But yeah, I got the clip ready if you guys got the clip ready.
All right, you guys ready?
I apologize for a little bit of the heavy breathing in it because the VR has the mic on it, and I actually have it open so that I can hear Joy if she talks to me a little bit, so it picks up even a little bit louder.
Sure, Joel, we know it's your excitement.
All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
So this part, this was really cool. If you play it in 2D, you get a completely different menu. And for when it detects your VR, if you start the game up with your VR headset on already, it immediately gives you that 3D menu, which is cool.
I like the quick looks back and forth. You're like, what was that?
So here's in PlayStation VR mode, and then I switch over to 2D mode in just a second. It doesn't really do it as much justice in this, but it looks incredible in 2D. I mean, just, it looks phenomenal. The graphics are nuts.
Oh, Lord, where's the grandma?
That's kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so the same
Oh,
in
I like
2D.
the speakers. I like the speakers. I could tell it looks like there's like more chromatic aberration in VR. Like they're trying to simulate maybe you have like looking through binoculars or old glasses or something.
No, it just looks like that from the 2D. It's just because
really?
it's
Okay.
the way it's kind of spherical and everything.
Ah, okay. The way it's warping it makes it a little more noticeable. Gotcha.
I can't tell you how crazy it is. That experience right there, opening the door to this open room, was kind of nuts. Every once in a while, you get this moment you're like, oh shit. Not just scary, but the sound effects sound way more, they sound like real life. And that's what's really cool about this game, is they're not gamey sounds a lot. They're just like boring cell phone sounds that are not overly stylized, that just sound like you're in a big room, and it's just terrifying.
So what was it like using the Move controllers with this? Did it feel
The Move
a lot more
controllers,
interactive?
it's only with the controller. There's no
Oh,
Move
totally.
controllers.
Oh, that stinks.
There's just this creepy old grandma sitting in a wheelchair.
Is she dead?
No, she's not dead.
Oh.
She's just looking at you, breathing heavily. And it's just like, like, no joke, I'm sitting here going, I want to go through this door. You can hear me breathing. I'm like, all right. So I'm like looking at the door. I'm like, crap. So there's something interesting about VR that makes it extremely terrifying, at least for me. And one of them is because the game knows where you're looking, right? So it's one of those things where, like, when you look this way, you're thinking, I'm going to turn back and that's going to be right up close to my face. Mm-hmm. And comparative to like a 2D thing, it's not up against your face, it's against the TV. So it's just knowing that something could literally be right in front of your face. Oh man, it's like,
do they do that to you? Do they?
Oh yes. Oh
okay,
yes.
Okay, so they do
and
jump
not
scares.
and not all cheap scares. Really, not all cheap scares. But there's parts where, like, I was thinking, like, even in real life, I've explored a few crappy old houses in my time, and it's one of those things where you're like walking across and you hear a creak sound and everyone just kind of stops and you just sit there. You're not looking around anywhere and you're just listening, and you can just hear like someone's breathing somewhere and you're like, slowly I turn, and you're looking down the hallway. But all I could say is the graphics are just, they're amazing. They're absolutely phenomenal. And one of the best things because of this game is because you're in a lot more tight, close places. I mean, there's some areas that open up a little bit big, but you're not ever in like a huge outdoor area where you can just roam anywhere. It's more controlled. But because of that, that does play really well to the strengths, especially on PSVR, in that you don't have these insane long draw distances. So everything really feels really sharp and really clear because you're only within a size of a giant living room. Like, that's about it. One living room to another living room to another living room. There's a few long hallways so far, and I don't know where the game's going to go next. I've played about 3.5 hours now. Gosh, like, the sound effects, the polish for, like, the gun, right? So you aim with your head. You don't aim with actual controller. You pull the left trigger to aim. The reticule, like, has this big, like, regular, I don't know, it's like in Battlefield, right? But when you aim, it goes down to a tiny little dot, right? And when you shoot, the reticule gets really big, and it takes a while for it to come back to the dot again. So it really makes you can't just sit there going shooting, because you're gonna miss like crazy. But it's very accurate. It makes a lot of sense aiming with your head too, which I thought was gonna be really weird, but you get used to it extremely fast. They do a really good job. They have tons and tons of settings, probably like 50 different settings for changing directions, from like looking, like if you want to look left or right, you can change smoothness factor. You can, let's say the right controller stick can, look left or right. They can have it so it starts really slow, then goes faster, or you can go really fast. And from crouching, you do a smooth crouch to a fast crouch. You can do tons of different options that allow that. From just walking speed, you can adjust that just so you're not walking that fast. But even from running, they're really careful with how much bobble you do, and then also for when you get when you interactions with other characters, they place you in the right area that it makes sense in VR. And it's just It's honestly unreal. It's like one of those things where I keep feeling like it's gonna end so quickly, and it's gonna be like, oh, that was just another quick VR experience. But this is officially, I think, the real deal of like a really legit VR game that's like really tailored extremely for, you know, the way the game's made. And then also, like, added bonus, like, you can literally switch to 2D mode in a second. It's not like a whole full reload or reset of the game or two different game. You're in the same game. You just hit the switch. You're in 2D mode.
So what makes you switch to 2D mode? You just feel like sometimes just feel like taking a break.
I haven't swapped. I'm not going to play it in 2D because I really want to experience in VR. But I was curious. I played an hour and a half, and I told Jeremiah this, and I've never had this feeling yet in VR, and it was really weird. I played for an hour and a half straight, and it felt like time just went by that fast, right? I take off my headset, and I was like, let me just see what it looks like in 2D before I go to bed. Because I heard it plays in 4K, and it looks really awesome. So I put it in 2D, and I'm walking around, and it was just this weird feeling. It felt like my TV was literally like 50 feet away. I was so disconnected to it. Where I'm sure if I started it like that, I'd probably have a great time playing it.
Oh no, Joel! You've ruined your couch experience.
No, well, I mean, like,
Joel's like, guys, you know what's in now? Close screens. The screens have to be like. Imagine you're sitting at a desk and the screen is like on the edge of the desk.
Well, it wasn't that the
You're
TV
gonna become a PC gamer now.
No, it wasn't that the TV felt small. It was just It felt like if here's a monster.
You felt really
right
removed
here.
from the experience.
Yeah, a monster's gonna punch you. I felt way back here, so the punches landed here, as opposed to like in VR. It's like there's a part where they put something up really close to your face, and you're like you're literally like, oh gosh, you know, everything feels big. The house, you're looking up and you're looking down. In like 2D, I was playing for a little bit. I was like, you don't have that feeling of like you wanted to look up and down around. You just feel like you stick within your first-person shooter zone of here, look down, collect items. Here, look down, collect items. Only up if there's something actually there. But VR is totally different. Even collecting and reading books, I hate, honestly, reading a lot of material in games. Like, I just really don't enjoy it. In VR, James, it feels like looting in real life in a way. It's weird. It feels like you walk up to a shelf.
That's all I ever wanted.
You walk up to a shelf, you pick up an item, and you're like really interested, like, ooh, what's inside? You have to rotate it around. You look inside, and you can rotate the controller any which direction to move the item, which is cool. And I don't know, it's weird because you're still in the game, you're still in this creepy house while you're reading a book, so you can like look around, like, is anything gonna attack me while I'm reading this information or puzzle or whatever it is? And I'm trying to think of another part. There's a moment you walk up some steps and it's raining outside and the rain's hitting the windows, and it was actually a really relieving moment in the game after some terrible crap happened. But I was just sitting there.
I relieved myself there.
I relieved myself many times. But I'm sitting there looking at the rain hitting against the window and the 3D sound. It was like, I honestly feel like I'm in this house. And it was a cool feeling. Like, as scary as the game is, it's like, I told Joy, I was like, I can't wait to play it the next day because I'm ready to go back into this house and fight for my life to make it out. Like, that's what it felt like. It doesn't feel like playing a game or loading a save. It's just like, all right, I'm ready to be back in this haunted house again. And it's, oh man, I'm really, I'm going to play it a little bit more tonight if I'm not too tired. But here's a couple small notes I had. They're nothing that are like game breaking or really like anything bad, but I really like to look for extreme high polish. And so I can't help but notice small little details. And I'm curious if they're going to fix some of these in patches. But in a standard FPS game, right? So like outside of like DayZ, where you can move forward and you can turn your head and you can still be looking forward, right? Mm-hmm. Most games, like, it looks like they are really mirroring how it is played regularly with a controller or mouse, in the sense that when you look around, and I hope they change this, when I'm looking around in VR, it scared me a few times, and actually, Jeremiah was wondering what the sound was too, and Dave did the same exact thing. Is the character model is probably shifting left or right, so his feet are moving, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I hope they get rid of that, because I mean, if you're in VR, my head can move and my feet are not shifting to look this way like a character would do in a game, you know. So that was one thing that it's like when you're sitting there really quiet and wanting to listen, if you look left and right, some of the footsteps will overpower the sounds, and you're like, shut up, feet. Like, I just want to listen, you know? So usually you kind of have to like move really slowly, or your feet will do the little like double step, like it's turning, you know? So that was one thing I just noticed, and I'm like, I hope they fix it. It's a minor thing, but it will kind of freak you out at times because you're like looking at a painting and you hear like footsteps. You're like, oh shit, what's behind me? And you're like, oh, it's just my feet. And then another thing was you pick up phones, right? And it's funny how in a regular 2D game, we would never even notice it and not care at all. But the phone will actually clip a little bit through your cheek as he picks it up. You go like this, and then, then it's fine. So every time I pick up the phone, I do a little left dodge. I'm like, whoop, a little Han Solo dodge as he picks the phone up. And it's one of those things in 2D, as you see it, it's like it just looks like it gets close and it just goes behind the camera. But in VR, since it's actually going through that 3D space, it's going through your head first a little bit.
My version broken.
And it's one of those things, it's one of those little annoying things that everything's really smooth and just perfect. And then that happens, you're kind of like, it's weird how it bothers you so much. So I'm curious if anyone else notices that. And then the last other thing is wherever you turn your head. So let's say if I'm pushing forward on the stick and I'm moving forward, if I look right, I just want to look right and keep moving the same direction I was. If you turn right, it will actually start making you walk that direction. And I can understand that. I wish they would add a setting that you can turn that off, because some people play the game completely standing up so they can literally turn any direction and then move that way. I've been playing the game the whole time sitting down. So it's one of those things where I want to be like, so if you're walking straight and I just want to look, peer down a hallway or through a window as I'm walking by it, you have to like push left on the stick, keep going. Like you have to maneuver differently as opposed to a regular game. You just hold forward, look this way, look that way. So it'd be one of those things where I would love to see them have that update on it. And then, do you guys have any questions? I have like some stats that I saw that was actually pretty cool.
Sure. Yeah, let's hear those.
They have
pant poopage. Is that one of the stats?
Resident Net. Right now, there's a total of 567,000 all players playing Resident Evil. That's everyone who's bought the game so far.
On every platform?
On every platform, yeah.
That's not bad opening first week sales.
No. 10% of them are on PSVR. Or it's 9.71%. But so it's really close to 10%. That's 55,000 VR players. That's pretty awesome. That's really good, because not everyone is a hardcore horror sim person, and not everyone's interested in playing something that's going to terrify the shit out of you. But that's pretty awesome. I think that's really good, because I know a lot of systems, they try to drive to get about at least 10% really quickly so that it can start catching up. But that's cool to see. So hopefully it'll keep gaining with popularity, just everyone saying, wow, this is a legit game. And it kind of sucks, because obviously I love this game and I can handle like how scary it is, and I'll just push myself through it. It's amazing that it's such a high polished AAA game, but it kind of sucks that we don't have a high polished AAA game like a legit 8-hour, 12-hour Star Wars game that anyone can play. That anyone, doesn't matter. Because I know people are like, man, I want to play it. There's no way in hell I could handle playing this game because it's just too intense. But I just hope that this game kind of sets the bar for other games, because Farpoint's coming out soon. We got Dirt Rally VR coming out soon as well. So there's a couple of games that are going to be pretty high polished games. So I hope it just starts setting the bar and it gets bigger and bigger, so they make these high polished games.
Now, I read something, and I'm curious if you've heard the same thing. I just read this recently. Will Farpoint require you to buy like a plastic gun accessory? I'm hearing people say that. I don't really know much about it.
I don't know. I haven't seen any details on that yet.
I can't imagine. Wouldn't the Move controller just pop in? You could probably still hold it the same way.
Because the controller has two thumbsticks, it's literally a controller.
But yeah. I would hope that you don't have to, though. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I would imagine you don't have to. That's just what
that would be pretty crappy if they did that.
There's no way to actually know.
Yeah.
On their end, you're hooked into the peripheral.
I do hope if when that controller comes out, because I'm actually pretty excited about it, it'd be awesome if they patched it for Resident Evil, because I just recently got a shotgun, and that would look really cool. But yeah, I'm curious. I haven't read anything on that yet. I heard that possibly it comes out in May. That's the last bit of news I've heard, that there's a rumor, because it's just slated for this year.
Yeah, you think we would have seen more, like seen gameplay videos or something more if it was coming out that early.
It got delayed a little bit, like around December. So I know
it might be
they've been showing it off.
Then.
So I'm curious to know how much they showed off. They're like, all right, we want to update some things or add more or something. Gotcha. I don't know. But yeah, so far I'm absolutely enjoying it, and it's like I'm excited for you guys to try it. And again, you guys are Like, you guys are welcome to borrow it if you're interested in playing it.
Oh, I am.
It's intense as crap. I haven't played. I mean, I have the PS4 Pro and I don't have the regular one, so I don't know how it looks on that. But I did play the other demo on the regular PS4, and it still looked good. But
It impresses
it's
me
worth
that it impressed me they took an actual game and made a real VR experience into it, to where it wasn't like a tack on mission. Or at the same time, you know, we have Until Dawn, and then we have the Until Dawn VR game, which is like a little teeny version. It's nothing like the regular game. I can appreciate that they wanted to give that full experience, and I hope if this is going to catch on, they've got to get full-length games in there. It can't be like a sampler. You can't feel like you're playing sampler. That, to me, was one of the downsides of the Wii. It's like you had your games that worked really well with the Wii motion controls, but most of the time you felt like you were just testing it. And so it was like, you know what, I'm not going to use it that much.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm like, please, like, I really hope people buy this and start getting that percentage up, because that's going to really help other games. Because, like, for me, I would love to play, like, if Yooka-Laylee came out and say, hey, we're doing a patch, the whole game's in VR. That would be awesome. Even if you didn't play the whole thing, but you would just swap back and forth, you could play VR and just have the world feel big. Like I told Dave, I was like, I would pay so much if The Witcher would convert it to VR. Lower the graphics, I don't care. Do whatever you have to do, but just to play a third-person game like that, it's
Not
just so different.
in every scene. You don't have to lower the graphics in certain scenes in VR. I need those full rounded pixels.
The highest quality pixels.
I want to say something. You mentioned stats. It would be interesting if they could, I don't think we're there computing power wise yet. If they could find a non-intrusive way to track a lot of information from your VR experience. So recording your voice, how many times you maybe gasp or curse, how many times you flinch, and then be able to provide those stats for you at the end. To, you know, just because
Sure.
you don't remember at the time, it'd be kind of interesting to see that.
How many times did we jump scare
Joel,
you?
you dropped the F-bomb 40,000 times in this game.
I mean, that would be cool, though. Like I say, we jump scared you, 130 times, and you jumped 111 of those times. Like, that'd be kind of funny to see. That'd be pretty cool.
That would actually be really cool. Apparently,
Now-
I know Dead Space 3, you could use the Kinect to, like, say, like, if it heard you actually swearing, the character would do a swear or something like that. It was so,
Really?
Yeah, it never worked. Of
Great.
course.
I
Just
can't
Kinect.
believe more games didn't have Kinect support. All right, Joel, besides Resident Evil VR, have you been playing anything this week?
Nope.
Cool. James, been playing anything this week?
So I bought the Devil May Cry collection for the PS3. I bought also Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. That was kind of fun.
Never heard of that.
It's a 2D scrolling. It's actually really fun. The thing I really appreciated about going back to the original Devil May Cry is it felt like that original Resident Evil experience where you had to do puzzles to move on, and you were locked into small areas, and then got to progress in your areas. Whereas, games now you just feel like you're going through these huge environments, which a lot of times is great, but sometimes it's nice to be able to just focus on something and really take everything in. So it was cool to go back and play an old game like that.
Awesome.
All I've been playing, I haven't really played much. I played a tiny bit of Battlefield with Dave last night, like literally 30 minutes. I'm going to play a little bit of GTA tonight just to, blow off some steam. Had a really good Arma mission on Monday. We had a good group, and the mission was great. We do this thing called Zeus, if you guys aren't familiar with Arma, where somebody is like the game master. Like imagine an RTS game and where you can like deploy troops and stuff, but the Zeus person, they can drop in any props, units, whatever, friendly enemies. They can like build the mission as you're playing it, which means this person has to have a really good understanding of the Arma game balance and what's good and what isn't. And it can take a while to get pretty good at it. So currently the only people in our group who can run a mission live while Zeusing pretty well are Dave and Tyler. And Tyler ran a Zeus mission for us on Monday and did a great job. Like every time it started to get a little bit too challenging, he would ease off us for a couple minutes, and then every time we started getting a little bit too cocky, he would throw like another squad at us or throw another problem at us. And it was really good. We had to go somewhere, download the data, and then that took us to an exfil point. Then we had to hold the exfil point and do some other stuff. So we kept finding like a new problem would pop up, and then all of a sudden there'd be a mortar just sitting next to an ammo box, or there would be an AA gun on top of a press box in a stadium or something like that. Like, he just dropped us little hints along the way, and it felt pretty gamey. So that was a lot of fun. But for now, it's time for the news.
News time.
Am I the only one who has news this week?
I think
Joel,
so.
Joel, why don't you take my middle announcement?
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, Dirt 4 was just announced. I think it was actually today, or it might have been yesterday. But it's not. If you have played any of the Dirt series games, the regular Dirt series is a little bit more arcadey, but they're just fantastic Dirt games. 1 and 2 were really good, and 3 kind of became a little bit more on the arcadey side, and more on the sports side of the, I want to say, Gimmickana or something like that. A lot of like the cars.
Gymkhana.
Gymkhana, there we go. The one like swerving around stuff and doing kind of tricks and stuff, which is cool, but if you're not into that, that's kind of what it was a lot about. Well, anyways, they just announced Dirt 4, and apparently, like, just some of the rumors on it is that they're taking some cues from Dirt Rally, which people kind of call the Dark Souls of racing games, and adding a little bit of that, but still dialing it back so it's a little bit more arcadey, a little bit more friendly for everyone else. But I'm excited about it because I still play Dirt Rally every once in a while with my steering wheel, so it'd be fun to play that, and I hope the multiplayer works really well. So I hope they announce when it's actually coming out. So
yeah, I mean, and to me, there doesn't seem to be a big enough difference between Dirt Rally and Dirt. Like, Dirt's a little more arcadey, but it's still not. I mean, it's not really an arcade game or anything. Like, it's not an arcade racer. So I don't really see the need for them to be totally separate series. I'd be fine if they just merge them. Like, take the lessons from Dirt Rally and then just turn Dirt 4 into.
Well, I mean, Dirt Rally is much harder than Dirt.
I know, but I feel like all the people who like Dirt Rally also like Dirt. Like, it wasn't a. This is actually the first one that's good enough. You don't think so?
No, not at all, actually.
Because I've played Dirt 2 and Dirt 3 quite a bunch before I played Dirt Rally, and while Dirt Rally was really hard, like, I didn't feel like it was a drastically different game, I guess.
Yeah, I figured the same, but when you follow like forums and stuff on people, like there is much more of a difference because you lose a lot of the more casual audience that just want to play a regular because they like Dirt Rally. When I first started, I was terrible at the game. At most racing games, but I enjoyed that because it was a little bit easier, but I like jumping and ramping and stuff like that. So I think they're trying to keep that foothold of still having some people who enjoy a good racing game, but it's not as crazy hardcore. Because Dirt Rally kind of has no like easy settings. It's only kind of pretty hard. So, but we'll see. Actually, I just realized it does come out. It's June 2017. I somehow missed that.
Nice.
So, yay.
Cool. All right, next thing is we talked a few weeks ago about there was a rumor that Windows Game Mode was coming. We might have talked about that on CS Tech. I don't remember. But it has been officially confirmed. It's coming in the Windows 10 Creators Update. So for anyone who doesn't know, one of the great things about consoles is supposed to be that they are dedicated to playing games. And obviously that has eased up a little bit over the years because they do a lot more media stuff. It's not like the PS2 days where like you can turn it on, you can play a game, or you can play a movie, or you can go away. And like, that's it. Or the NES days where you can turn it on and play a game and that's it.
Or the Nintendo Switch days where you can turn it on, play a game, not watch a movie. Because they're not releasing Netflix or anything else at first.
But anyway, we talked about the Switch last week. So one of the problems you can have on a PC is you have other stuff going on. So a game, as far as Windows is concerned in the past, isn't really any more important than any other program, except it might be more demanding. So Windows tries to automatically allot resources to whatever it thinks needs them the most. And so if you've ever heard people online talking about ways of speeding up their performance in games by like unparking CPU cores or setting like CPU priority to be high in a task manager. Or have you guys ever heard about anything like that?
No, I don't think so.
It's a popular thing people do when a game is running poorly and they're trying to force out any extra performance they can, is when a game can't tell Windows properly how to allot resources or can't properly allot its own resources, there are ways you can like trick and force Windows into giving the game more priority. It's a problem with the game when it happens. Like, it's not a problem with Windows. You're just trying to fix it any way you can. So that can be one of the problems with PC gaming is depending on what else you have running. Like if I turn on all the things I use when I'm doing productivity, like the entire Adobe suite, and I've got video rendering going on and all this other stuff, game performance can kind of suck, which makes sense. Like on a console, when you load up a game, it suspends things in the background. I mean, there's some stuff like Spotify and voice chat that can run, but if you're watching Netflix and then you switch to a game, it's going to suspend Netflix. It's not just going to keep playing that in the background. Or on a PC, you can kind of do whatever you want. And so now the Windows 10 game mode is going to be a way of, I don't know about suspending everything in the background, but it's going to be a way of telling Windows, this app is the highest priority. Focus all of your spare resources on this to the detriment of other things. Like if you were rendering a video, in theory, it would slow the render down to like an absolute crawl. And if you were running a bunch of browsers in the background, it would remove memory from them and give it over to the game. So
why can't they do this with Steam Big Picture?
Because Microsoft has to do it. Think about it this way. Yeah. And at first I was wondering, like, why is it taking this long to get this? But it makes sense. If you let games or if you let developers say that their program should have higher priority over another without Microsoft's express approval, you can probably see how that could get out of hand pretty quickly. It needs to be something that Microsoft does. And I think with Windows 10, now that they're trying to unify the Xbox and Windows platforms, they're trying to add these extra features. This is probably something that already exists in a certain way on Xbox, and they're figuring out how to.
Well, they did find ways to unlock a little bit more CPU power in the past. I don't know what they did to do that.
With this thing, little thumb drive, you plug it in, give you more RAM power. Man, Vista was awesome, badass.
now
what do they call that feature?
I forget what it was, but it was like RAM boost or something like that. But
do you need to go, James? Oh, okay. All right, James will be right back. So now here's the caveat. Some people are getting really excited about this. Want to put the damper on it. This is a brand new thing they're working on. So to see real huge improvements, we might have to be a little more patient. Currently, Microsoft is saying they're seeing a 2 to 5% performance increase in games that are CPU bound or GPU bound. That means if a game, like if your computer is locked at 60 FPS and your GPU and CPU aren't getting that stressed, well, it's not going to make your performance any better. Like you don't need your performance to be better. It's fine. In games where your GPU or CPU are maxed out, maybe 2 to 5% improvement, which isn't nothing, but it's also, I mean, that's not crazy. So they say they have plans to greatly improve it over time, but I just want to be clear. I think it's a great idea that they're trying to do something like this, and it's good for PC gaming as a whole if they're able to do it successfully, but it's not like a magic bullet yet. You know, this isn't gonna fix all your problems. So
I feel like, I read that article, and there's one thing I thought that was actually, I was like, that's a good thing they add that, because I was like, I could see Windows going, yeah, let's add this, and they're like, oh crap, bad feature. And one was to make sure that, let's say you do want a program running in the background, that it's not a on or off type thing where like if you play Battlefield and you like, I can play Battlefield and I can render a video in the background easily. You know what I mean? It would suck if they're like, well, can't render that anymore because you're playing a game. Like we force it on whenever detects DirectX. They are allowing it on or off, so you can kind of turn it off or on. So that's really good. Mm-hmm. I feel like the thing I would like most to see, like for games, and I think I'm just getting used to it for the PS4, but I love the suspend for just games, like to be able to just put your entire computer in sleep mode with a game in sleep mode, not running in the background using GPU, but like actually like, save state or whatever. I don't know, whatever it does. I think like a lot of phones do that too, with apps. I would love to see that because that'd be cool because that's honestly been kind of a godsend for certain games you're playing, especially like playing Uncharted. Like when I played it, you're like, okay, pause, suspend mode because I'm playing tomorrow. Like you're right back in with a press a button. I would love that just to save some time from logging into some stuff. That'd be a cool feature.
As consoles become more and more like PCs, like they really are PCs running customized software this time around, I think we're going to see like more blending. Like I think the PC is going to get a little bit better. I don't think consoles are going to get a little bit worse, but I think as they do more and more, they're going to have to come out with smarter ways of managing that because it could run into the potential of like PCs used to be a lot simpler too. As you let people do more, that's not always a good thing. So I hope that the next generation of consoles try to preserve the game aspect of it, because I mean, consoles are becoming like the most popular media players. So like, they're not just about games anymore, which is good, but you don't want them to lose the ability to be good at games. So yeah, I hope those things blend smoothly.
You think back in the day of like computers, like with DOS, where you had to put it in the disk, and that's literally all your computer was doing. There's nothing else going on. That's
and you didn't worry about frame rates in the DOS days, did you? Resolution, frame rate, none of that matters. You get sprites if you're lucky.
I asked Dave the other day, because I never actually thought about this, but I was like, Dave, what frame rate does Windows run at? Like, do they have to VSync that? Like, how does that work? And he was just saying, he says he thinks Windows, I think, is supported up to like 200 something hertz or whatever. Like, it's
in theory, yeah, but it just ties it to your refresh rate. So if you have a 60 hertz refresh rate, it's playing it at 60 frames per second. I mean, the thing is, like, running Windows is super, super easy on the graphics card. So
yeah. It's funny. I just like never thought about it. I was like, wait a second, because I remember reading an article. I think that the iOS is at 60 FPS. It's like, and it's just funny to think like, oh yeah, and iOS has to be kind of locked too. It's essentially running a program. But I don't know. I just think of like, oh, once you're in a game, then you think about FPS. But I was like, oh yeah, iOS.
No, that was a big thing in phone reviews when phones, like when both Android and iOS started being able to do 60 FPS on apps.
Yeah.
People like were started talking about how it's a huge difference when you're just scrolling or flipping through things. You're like, oh my goodness.
Because the original was 30 FPS, the original one.
And not even that some of the time.
No, yeah.
And sometimes, honestly, I could like 90 hertz would feel pretty good. There's occasionally, if you're scrolling fast enough, it's not bad at all. But like you can notice it just a little bit. And I'm like, one day maybe we'll get there where it's so like 120 FPS phones or something. That'd be kind of cool. But our next bit of news is about PC gaming hardware sales. So this is interesting. We talked about like a month or two ago, total grossing on like, or total money made per platform or percentage of the market or whatever else. I don't remember exactly what we talked about, and I didn't have enough time to go back and find the episode. So this is going to kind of illustrate a little bit the fundamental differences between the platforms, because we like to talk about PC gaming and console gaming in regards to like mostly AAA and indie games, right? But overall PC sales have been in decline for years, which makes sense because most people do not need a normal home desktop computer that costs $2,500 anymore, which is what you'd be getting if it was in the 90s. A basic laptop, a $400, $500 Dell does what most people want. A Mac laptop does what most people want. Like, there's no reason most people need to buy a high-end computer. But the PC gaming hardware market has actually been climbing for years. But it's not climbing faster than the overall PC market is declining, because PC gaming is like, I mean, the PC market is billions and billions of devices. Like, so it's not, the PC gaming market is such a small subset of that. So anyway, PC gaming software sales hit $35.8 billion in 2016. Console game sales were $6.6 billion. This is just software. Mobile gaming was $40.6 billion. This goes to show you, or going into more detail there, a lot of the money being made on PC gaming, it's not like mobile, but a lot of money is being made on games that we don't really talk about or think about. It's being made on games with microtransactions. It's being made on games like League or Dota, Heroes of the Storm. I don't know about Heroes of the Storm specifically, but it's a little bit like the mobile market where it's not just straight sales. Now, consoles do have microtransactions and things too, but it's not like there are countries like in South Korea where League of Legends is a sport that's on television. So like their concept of spending money on that is radically different from the PC gaming market that we talk about on the podcast. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison. It's an apples to oranges comparison. PS4 hardware is doing very, very well. So like you shouldn't look at that 6.6 billion and think, oh, consoles are failing. Like both current gen consoles are selling extremely well and they're selling really well in games. But the PC market is like that, which is probably a little bit smaller for PC gaming, the AAA market. And then there's the rest of the iceberg of PC gaming money is made on things that we don't even talk about, which I thought was kind of interesting. But for the first time, hardware sales passed $30 billion with $30.6 billion and is expected to grow 6% per year or 6% growth rate throughout the end of the decade.
Does that include peripherals and stuff, or does that include?
That's hardware. That's hardware. So that's any
I mean,
hardware that's
does that
related
include
to PC
the all-in-one
gaming.
systems? I mean, just PC. You say PC gaming.
Hardware.
It's weird because when you go into stores now, the trend has become all-in-ones. Like you rarely, you might see a row of desktops, but there's as a you go into a normal Best Buy and stuff, you're seeing way more all-in-ones now than desktop. So it's interesting that while that's happening, the hardware is still climbing for gaming PC stuff.
When it says like for the first time surges past 30 billion, like that sounds amazing. I am curious to like, what is that? Why does that mean it's very good? Like I guess I almost wish it was talking about like last couple of years it was at 25 billion. Like what,
I wish they went into more detail on that. What it means is while the PC market overall is declining, PC gaming has been growing hardware wise and sales wise for the last like 6 or 7 years, and it just hit a new record. So I agree. I wish they would go into a little more detail on what it used to be, because it'd be more significant.
Yeah, because it's almost like saying like, Yo-Yo's surges past 1 million sales. It's kind of like, is that good? Is that good? Or is it kind of like, well, they used to get 4 million, but it's finally surged past 1 million because for the last couple of years, it's only been making 500,000. It's like,
right.
But I think I'm going to take that's good, but
based on what they said about they're expecting the growth rate to top 6% through the end of the decade, I'm assuming that means it's been gradually going up. And, probably last year was like 28 billion, 27.5 the year before or something like that.
I'm curious. What do you guys think about this? Because as soon as I saw this as well, I didn't read all of it until, you just talked about it. But it made me think, I have a feeling that gaming is obviously, it's exploding even more so because of the hardware and everything of streaming, of YouTube videos, YouTube gaming. That has to be a huge point of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure that helps.
Just because again, it's like straight up advertising. But it's funny thinking of everybody now. I mean, like Joy's nieces and stuff like that. It's funny. They know every YouTuber, and they talk about they want to get a webcam and they want to start streaming and doing stuff. And it's like, I mean, that like for them it'd be more complex for them to even do that on something like a console than it would be on a PC, because like they watch all these videos, they see them all do it, and they use the same systems and stuff like that. I wonder how much that has really influenced and caused this big surge, because it feels like PCs are in a much more of a huge comeback, specifically in gaming, like and hardware. Yeah, that makes sense, because you just don't need a PC for most things anymore for daily life. But for gaming, and especially with streaming and having capture recording and you know what I mean, all the stuff that comes with it, you do need a lot of hardware. And I'm curious to know how much that actually has accounted for. Because like in Toys R Us, that freaking Be a YouTube Streamer kit. It was a little package as a webcam. It had like various things, and it was like scripts and things you can do. And it was just like, what in the world? I was like, this world's not ours anymore. The youth have taken over.
And I think it's probably also significant for hardware sales that most esports are PC. Because as with any enthusiast thing, when you start getting into the enthusiast space, everybody starts looking for an advantage. Not like cheating the rules, I'm saying, but like in auto racing, people will spend tons and tons of money researching the absolute best tire compounds and suspension tuning and all this stuff. In sports, people will research the absolute best helmets and cleats and everything like that. So in PC gaming, you can find the mouse that perfectly suits you and the keyboard that's great for you. And on consoles, you're a little more limited to like custom controllers, but for good reasons, they keep that more locked down. So you got like Call of Duty and stuff on consoles, but for esports, when it's things like League of Legends, you think, how many footballs would be sold if we didn't have the NFL? How many cheap PCs would be sold if we didn't have League of Legends in South Korea? I think like Joel's saying, as parts of gaming reach celebrity status, or people reach celebrity status within the gaming sphere, I'm sure that does drive sales, because people want the same streaming mic that someone else uses or webcam. I mean, this evening I looked up, I was watching Good Mythical Morning, and I was like, they're sitting 3 feet away from that mic and they both sound excellent. Is that mic a prop or is that a real mic? And I looked it up, and it's a real mic. It's the blue mouse, and it's $1,200.
So that one actually is being used. I was curious about
the real mic.
It just sounds so good.
It's $1,200, and you better believe that studio is sound treated, which makes a huge difference.
Of course, you got the money. They have like one of the best shows I've seen online. They're amazing.
Yeah. So anyway,
James just sent me a Minecraft toys that are coming out called Tube Heroes, and they've
been out for a while actually. It's a old.
I think
Really?
that's the ones you talked about, wasn't it, Joel? Tube Heroes.
Maybe it was. I guess I
That
didn't see
was-
any
that
figures.
was.
I just saw the webcam kit. So, but that's crazy.
So they have
man.
actual action figures you can buy of the different personalities.
Guys, if we keep doing this for the next 10 years, maybe we'll be one of those.
Oh my gosh! When you reach the next tier
It's gonna
for
take 10 years.
Patreon, you'll get action figures of us.
No, that's no.
If you donate $5,000 a month, we'll make a pair of action figures for you.
Let's try to keep up with
Just
our
a pair. Half
One
Joel
bear.
and James, half Dave and Jeremiah. We're not going to make 4. We're too cheap.
Let's try to keep up with the Patreon things we're already doing first before we get into action figure design. No, we'll make them and then they'll be hand painted. James is gonna hand paint the action figures.
That's my hand painting motion.
Anyway, any more news you guys want to talk about?
No, I think that was it.
Just that the Nintendo Switch is not going to release with any video streaming apps, which I think is kind of silly, in 2017.
Okay. Oh, I've got a thing. Joel always asks the audience to get involved, so I want to just poll the audience. I am not intending this in a fanboy way at all, but would anybody be legitimately interested in us, if I got a Vive, and us doing a special episode where Joel and I compare the Vive and the PSVR, play a bunch of like the free and indie games, like the cheaper games, and talk to you guys about it? Because I haven't seen many people do that outside of an initial review. And Joel has been playing with his VR for months now. Like Joel he knows his VR. And actually to the point where
he knows his VR.
you were like correcting reviewers today.
sleeps with it on his face.
You were telling me like some of these reviewers, they don't know the system. Like they're saying incorrect things. They're saying you can't adjust stuff.
Yeah, they're talking about options that don't exist, and I'm like, no, that existed in the demo. Like it was there. Like, so it's. Wait a second.
Yeah, I haven't seen many people actually try to do a good job of this. So if I get a Vive, would anybody be interested in me like using it for a month or two, making my videos, and then Joel and I doing like an in-depth breakdown of it? Because I think that could be interesting, because I mean, when one's literally double the price of the other, there like better be some stinking good reasons for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not literally double the price if you already have some of the peripherals, but
That's true.
you don't.
If you start from scratch, the PSVR is about $500 and the Rift is $800. The Vive is $800. It's still a ton of money more. You know,
Right.
it's not even close money wise. So yeah, if you guys would be interested in that, write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com and let us know, or drop a comment below. If you have a Vive, I would be very interested in hearing what games you think are absolute must plays. I've been looking and I didn't even realize this. Google Earth is on Vive, and I read a review and people say it's awesome. So that'd be pretty fun. I'd like to play some actual games too, ideally. But it is now time for 90 Seconds with Joel, a part of the podcast where Joel takes us on a magic ride.
Well, today's magic ride.
I was just teeing you up, seeing what you do with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, open YouTube, please. Open. You are not even ready for this. Okay, I discovered.
Should I be opening?
What's that? Yes. Say. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. So I want to watch this together with you guys. Okay.
Okay. So do I need to cue this up and get this on another screen?
Yeah, I might. Yeah, I might be. Yeah, here. All
right, don't send me. You can't send me a link. You gotta tell me.
Okay. Just search on YouTube, laser tag, LOR championship. It's the 2014 lore tiebreaker. Do not watch until we're watching
2014 laser tag world championships
gotta set
lore
this up.
tiebreaker.
Yep.
I want to make sure we're looking at the same one.
You should see a guy with a little yellow
all right,
jacket on or suit, whatever. Okay, James, let me know when you got that too as well.
Make sure it's not going to play an ad. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
This is crazy. Okay. I was out of curiosity. I was just like, I was just thinking
is there amazing laser tag?
I was trying to think. Joey's birthday's coming up soon. And I was like, I'm trying to do something. I was just trying to think of some fun things to do. If there's like a laser tag place around that's like not just a putt one, but like a legit one maybe. I came across this and I was like, no, this is not real. This is not real. Oh, it is 100% real, and this is hardcore. So this is a laser tag world championship, Lord of the Rings tiebreaker, and it's people in this ring. This is what it looks like, guys.
All right.
How do people enjoy this? I have no idea. Ready? 3. Well, you count it off since we're
on 3.
A good counter.
1, 2, 3. Wait, are they all in the circle together?
Yes.
They're not going anywhere else. It's just here.
No. Watch. Just watch. This. Wait. They're just. It's 3 dudes and within this circle, and they're just trying to shoot at each other's backs or whatever, and they're counting time down before each like laser refresh or something.
Everybody's very serious in this room.
Yeah, I was like, is this a joke? This has to be a joke. No, there's tons of videos of this. But it gets more intense. The guy on the right is the funniest. He gets so pissed later.
Why are they putting their backs to each other?
I guess they're hiding the laser?
Whoa. That was tricksy.
Look at that. I know. But they're so intense.
So athletic. I like how the guys wear like compression pants. Whoa.
Oh, look at that. He's juking.
What's going on? I like how everybody's just like quiet reverence watching, like let the masters work.
James, now you're quiet. Have you done this before?
No, I'm just like, the F.
But I love the jukes and the dodges and stuff. And I'm like I don't know. As a kid, I remember laser tag being about running around behind things through the forest, shooting each other, you know. This is just like, what is this?
It looks like a bunch of people having seizures.
It's so quiet still. Like there's every once in a while I'll be like, oh, do you hear him? He's like, let's go, Todd. Let's go. Let's do it. Oh, look at that.
I don't get why they're spinning around. Why don't they just keep their backs to the outside of the ring?
I don't know. Like, does it swap sides every time?
Maybe the movement keeps the sensor from going off.
Like, I have to believe there's like, you know,
there's got to be a lot. Yeah, there's got to
yeah.
be a lot going on that we don't understand.
Yeah.
But
I'm still trying to see, like, yeah, I know. If you are someone who listens to this podcast and you've done this before, I want you to write in and jump in on our podcast. We need to know what is this and why does this exist? Yeah, this is just 5 minutes straight of this.
All right. Well, I mean, are we?
That I think we're good.
Is that enough? Okay. Not that I don't want to keep going, but I don't.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's cool. I feel like I've got the, you know.
Erase.
Well.
So now you know that's a thing. There's professional laser tag.
No, not professional. I don't think anybody's sponsored.
I think they are calling themselves professional.
Okay. I hope nobody's getting paid for this.
Look, Red Bull.
We shouldn't make fun of them because we like nerdy stuff too. It's one of those things like where one nerd sees a nerd in a distant nerd country and they're like, screw those guys. I mean, because Joel, to be fair, you and Dave carry a made-up card game from a video game to lunch every day, and you sit amongst a bunch of college students and you play your made-up card game, and you have a trophy you pass back and forth. So all I'm saying is like,
very fair.
Put it that
very
way.
Fair.
Two sides of the
fair.
same beautiful Tamarian coin.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
Yeah, but if we videotape them doing it.
Oh, James, there was an intense match the other day. There were so many spies that were being played. Like me and our other friend John, not John, you know, different friend John. we're just looking back and forth. Joel and Dave, like intense eyes staring at each other, just spies back and forth, pulling cards out. They'd finish rounds with more cards than they started with. One round was like 7 minutes of just laying cards down in Gwent. It was intense. Watching the artists
we were
work.
like, we were juking. Ooh,
Speaking of intense,
go Todd.
we need to set up that that match between you and Edgar.
For
Yes.
Age of Empires 2.
We need
Yes.
to make it official.
Let's do that. Let's
needs
do
to
it.
be-
We'll live
guys just
stream.
wanna see me lose.
it should be a streaming event.
Yep.
But you guys, I mean,
I'll
you
talk
guys-
with
I
Edgar.
don't,
I'll talk with
want
Edgar.
to see you lose. I want to see you have an intense encounter.
All right.
Not die, everybody.
No, they beat me last time. Did Joel tell you that?
We beat him because we had four people on our
Joel,
team.
Dave,
Yeah.
John, and Joy together. Well, all right, to be fair, Joy died pretty quick, and Dave died bad enough that before he officially died, he got up and left to go get snacks, and then it was Joel and John. But
But
Now
he
you-
used up a lot of men by that time that we were
Yeah.
able to slowly attack him. But
Yeah.
but still, in my opinion, that was
Yeah,
badass.
but an intense one-on-one.
yeah. Let's do. I'll talk with Edgar. We're gonna make this happen. Match of
boy.
the century.
Streaming event.
Yep.
I don't know about that.
No, it's gonna be. It needs to be a streaming event.
All right.
Nothing
I'll
like a
do it.
little on-the-air peer pressure.
I don't think I'll survive, but I'll do it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and being a part of the show. As always, you can write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com to be a part of the show. You can tweet at casualshenanigan. We have a website. We have a Facebook. Of course, there's a YouTube channel. If you want to know what Dave's been playing, go look at the video he just put out on his channel, why I'm glad I gave Mafia 3 a second chance. It's called something like that. You go to his channel, it's the recent Mafia 3 video. It's almost 30 minutes long, and he breaks down all the reasons why he almost quit playing Mafia 3, and he's glad he stuck with it. And solely because of Dave, I'm going to play Mafia 3. I wasn't planning on playing it past the Potato Masher video, but I'm going to just because of all the things he's had to say about it. So go check that out. Dave should be back next week. We will see you guys all then. But until next time, James, what should everybody do?
Slap a seal and stay casual.